For many drivers, the hope for a championship is also important. In this type of a series, it's important for multiple different reasons. For one, the importance of consistency to perform in the span of just 5 races, but today as well as a chance to win some straight cash money. Welcome everyone to the mini season finale for this campaign for straight cash money at the virtual Talladega Superspeedway as we get ready to go cup racing to determine who will win a grand total of $580+ in prize money, whether it's for the race win or whether it's for the championship. The question's going to be, which drivers will take home those respective prizes today? We'll find out throughout today's action. Justin Prince alongside Greg Rentz with you with Will Duvall in the director's seat for what's expected to be an intense race today. 80 laps on the docket, and it's like how we started today's action, Greg. Cup racing at Talladega in the morning in sim time. Just approaching 7 a.m. Qualifying is underway for what's expected to be an intense amount of action with more than 25 drivers taking part in today's race.
Like you mentioned, almost $600 in prize money available in total here tonight. That is not for the race win. It's still $50 to win, 40 for second, so on down to fifth. However, with this being championship race and a lot of bonuses on the line as well, total prize money goes up to nearly $600. We believe we've counted it out at $580 total available for these drivers here tonight. And we're just 80 laps away from someone not only taking $50 home for the victory, someone else in that championship battle is taking home $125 for winning the championship here in this 5-race mini-series that has made Sunday mornings in January one of the most fun things of the week here on LSRTV. This series has been a lot of fun. It's been interesting seeing a bunch of drivers from different backgrounds coming together to race it out for 5 races. It's been a lot of fun watching this series on LSRTV.
It has been so far, to say the very least. It's going to be interesting to see which drivers come out on top today, especially with the 50% fuel, once again, as per series regulations, playing a lot of strategy. Last time the series was at Talladega in the Cup cars. Now, as talked about, qualifying is underway. Several of the big organizations are currently in preparation for what's expected to be an intense race. You have the CGE machines once again back on the circuit, but you also have many of the drivers they're working with, like Garrett Maines, competing for a championship. It's Taylor Peacock who holds the championship points lead, entering today by 4 points over Christian Sanford. Then Garrett Maines is 6 points behind, with J.R. Miller and Joseph Allen rounding out your top 5. The separation, just 10 points among those total dollars for today, Greg. It's going to be intense for those main prize totals for the points. You mentioned $125 for the championship, $100 is on the line for second, $75 for third in the mini-season championship points, $60 for fourth, $40 for fifth.
And here's the thing also, Justin. We've talked about it a little bit so far today, but I feel like we should hit this again real quick. This is the championship race at Talladega. So you're having the true wild card of the NASCAR Cup scene thrown into the mix for the championship race. And again, we talked about it. You guys remember, if you've been following this entire series, just how wild that season opener was at Talladega that Garrett Maines picked up the victory in all the way back right after New Year's. So we have gotten right back where we started from here at Talladega, and a lot of people have said, there's been a growing movement to see a plate track be the championship race. You see people on social media saying, hey, I think a championship race at Daytona or Talladega would be off the hook. Well, you're about to see it here on LSRTV at Talladega. 80 laps the distance, and Talladega, being the unpredictable track that it is, no doubt going to throw a monkey wrench to these drivers. Garrett Maines in the number 1, currently sitting position number 1 on the board with a 51.022. And you may notice, for those at home, that Garrett Maines, as you watch Darren Hallman in the 99, will be sporting a new look here than we're used to seeing him with this season. That's because, Justin, he made a very, very exciting announcement over the last week.
Yes, indeed. That was with him being part of this season's eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series. His official team announcement coming with LSRTV Sports, who is also competing at the highest levels of eNASCAR for this season, partnering up with Ashton Crowder for that campaign. So it's going to be interesting to see how Maines does now and what's going to be his last one of the final races in special events such as this, in series such as this, before he takes part in Monday's Clash coming up at Daytona International Speedway. We're taking a look at Darren Hellman. He is 12th on the board. Right now, the Hellman's one of the staples in terms of this series. We've seen both the Hellmans work together in this campaign. Kevin Hellman is in 11th. Overall, it's talked about 29 drivers, though, are taking part in today's action, and it's expected to be intense for many of these drivers. You have Miller, who had that great run at the iRacing Super Speedway with some craziness. You have Garrett Maines trying to recover from some runs. It was a crazy run to end the last race for the series.
Yeah, the iRacing Super Speedway, relatively new to the iRacing server, has already provided us here on LSRTV with 3 absolutely stellar races. We kicked it off on LSRTV with an all-open-wheel show. We did a 6-hour enduro race with the Cup cars at iRacing Super Speedway. Then last week, this series went to iRacing Super Speedway with the trucks, and crazy doesn't really exactly cover it. Justin, that was one of the craziest races we've ever seen here on LSRTV. So much fun to watch. Christian Sanford, who's sitting 3rd on the chart right now, picked up the win. And I gotta say, I'm not at all surprised with that. The way Sanford had been rolling the dice and trying different things out and finding himself at the front by the end of the race, we had to have a bet that Sanford was going to get a victory at some point, and you knew it was going to happen. It came last week at the iRacing Super Speedway, getting himself in a position to strike for the championship, just 4 points behind Taylor Peacock, as we mentioned earlier. Do you think a win here tonight to wrap it up back-to-back would be very, very strong for Christian Sanford, maybe getting him in position for the championship if Peacock has a struggle?
Possibly, because keep in mind that 38 points in total was scored by Peacock in that race at iRacing Super Speedway. It is 40 points for the max. The goal is down 1 point down. If you get a win and say your competitor finishes, say, outside the top 5, it could be the difference between $125 and $100 for some of our top competitors tonight. Keep in mind as well, with the race totals as well, there will also be totals available courtesy of Rebel 8 Racing for most laps led and the hard charger for tonight. There also may be a third incentive mixed in, hint, hint, for today's action. So there's a lot of support from the drivers today as well for what's expected to be this intense race. Who do you feel are some of the drivers we have to keep an eye on, as it looks like at least half the field may be electing not to qualify, surprisingly, for this race?
Well, you gotta go with the aforementioned drivers that we've mentioned earlier already. Garrett Maines, Christian Sanford, and Taylor Peacock, the top 3 in points. You gotta keep your eye on them. But there's a couple new names that might play a role in this. How about Ian Martin, sitting 2nd on the board right now? Mainly a street stock driver on the iRacing official side of things, jumping into a Cup car tonight. 2nd in points, or not 2nd in points, 2nd on the charts right now for his first race with this mini-series. Of course, Bradley Wilson, winner at Michigan, top 5 qualifying effort for him right now as well. Hunter Parsons, always strong, the dirt racer here in the 00, sitting 6th right now. Of course, you got the rest of the CGE guys, Pete Polini, Curtis Critchley, Andrew Navarro, always a threat up there. We talked about Garrett Maines' father, Jason Maines, truck winner at Daytona in this series. Brian Chu always finds his way up to the front at the end. The list just goes on and on of drivers that we got to keep an eye on. And this is what makes the series so much fun, is every time the series rolls in, you've got 15, 20 drivers that realistically you can expect to run up front.
30 seconds to go until drivers roll off on the starting grid for tonight's action. Overall, you have to give credit as well to the 44 drivers who have competed in the previous 4 races for this series. Expected to see that total now balloon for the season finale here, as talked about, with many drivers making some appearances and looking to have some strong runs to close off this mini season for straight cash money. The question is, who will get that money? We're about to find out as the drivers have finished up their grid and they're qualifying. It's time to take a look at how these drivers will start for today's action in the virtual Talladega Superspeedway. Straight Cash Money will be led by Garrett Maines for its finale on your starting grids, sponsored by Conserve Wireless. Ian Martin will start on his outside in row 1 separation by 12/1000ths of a second. Christian Sanford starts in row 2. He'll start alongside one of the CGE drivers, and Bradley Wilson. Keep an eye on him to work with Maines as well in today's race. But Curtis Critchley will start in row 3. He starts alongside Hunter Parsons. He's looking to try and wheel his machine in one of the zero cars in one of the Ryko entries. In 7th spot is Stephen Gregory. They'll start alongside Kevin Winker. 9/1000ths of a second back is Andrew Navarro. He'll start alongside Jason Maines in your top 10, Greg.
Bellini, always a threat on the short track side here on LSRTV, has had some great runs in the series as well, rolls off 11th. Before you find a pair of Hallemans on the grid, Kevin Halleman going to start alongside Bellini in 12th, while Darren Halleman starts 13th alongside Torrey Thompson. Thompson, the 88, was the last driver to take time today. Rest of the field set on provisionals. Another driver you have to keep an eye on in the series, we didn't talk about him yet. Alan Dobbs, always a threat to run up front at the end. He starts alongside Zach Adams in 16th position. Nate Lynch made his first start last week. He's got a Mountain Dew throwback on board, number 25 this week. Michael Anthony was up in the mix at Michigan for the win. He starts 18th. Brian Chu and points leader Taylor Peacock round out the top 20, Justin.
21st goes to Mike Lynch today. He'll drive the number 27 machine alongside Ed Osborne's VFP Incorporated machine. Ryan Twinham starts in 23rd today. He'll be throwing back to one of Dale Sr.'s paint schemes, while Rob Green starts in 24th spot in the lap traffic racing machine. Brian Lynch starts in 25th today. He'll start alongside Scott Hess in row 12, while row 14 features J.R. Miller alongside Clint Motto. Rounding up the 29 entries today, and a Red Crown machine, it's Joseph Allen rounding out your entries for today's action. 80 laps is your distance for today here at the virtual Talladega Superspeedway. Instant time 7:11 a.m. on iRacing Day, May 15, 2021. Track temperature 80 degrees Fahrenheit for today, while the air temp 79 with minimal winds at 2 miles an hour to the north, humidity 55% for what's expected to be a very intense race with several pit stops in this race. Unlimited tire sets, 50% is your fuel limit, meaning drivers will have to pit about every 15-20 laps today, Greg. Your keys to victory for this one.
And have to be patient. We talk about it every time we're at a plate track. What is your strategy as a driver? Do you want to get up front and try to stay out of the trouble up front? Or do you want to ride in the back and let the trouble happen, stay out of it that way so you can see it happen, then find yourself up front at the end? All about driver preference. What is going to be the winning strategy? We've talked about that time and time again. You got to just keep your nose clean. And again, 50% fuel capacity, unlimited tires in this race here tonight as opposed to the usual thing. So that's going to throw a little bit of a wrench into what we're used to seeing, because we're used to seeing tires being a key here, but unlimited tires in the race tonight, much like the Northwest Cup and Truck Series that we see on LSRTV. Of course, they're in their off season, so we might see a race similar to that, just a couple more fuel stops here in this one, Justin.
We'll see who can come away with a strong run here today at the virtual Talladega Superspeedway. It's Elliott Sauer Esports driver Garrett Maines in control of the field. Start alongside Ian Martin, known for his street stock performances. He'll be driving for Precision Racing for today's action. The iRacing pace car is off at the virtual Talladega Superspeedway. The final race of Straight Cash Money for this mini season is all set to go. Green flag up on the stand. We're underway from Talladega. And the top line dropping like a lead balloon to start things off. Greg, already several drivers getting shuffled on that top line and out and fast. Martin already back to 4th position, battling for that spot right now with Gregory.
Curtis Critchley now trying to get a run up on the outside in that number 3 car. He's number 26 on your ticker, but number 3 on screen. He has gotten hooked up, I believe, with the number 98 there on screen. I believe that is looking to see who that is, as Critchley's going to get the run and lead the lap. That is Ian Martin in the number 98, pushing Critchley right now. So the outside lane getting going again, but look at the inside lane come up here on the corner. Garrett Maines back into the fight on the inside with Christian Sanford behind him. We've seen these two up front pretty much all season. Curtis Critchley, another one you got to keep an eye on. Here they are, drag race down the front stretch, and keep your eyes on the 2 car of Andrew Navarro, sitting in 8th right now. You know it's not going to be a long time before he gets up to the front. He's 4th in line on the inside right now. How long does it take for him to get up there? And when he gets up there, does he hook up with his buddy Garrett?
We'll have to see right now as the CG and Elliott Sauer Esports machines currently controlling the momentum on the bottom and top lines at the moment. And it's, again, with this type of racing, a chess match to try and figure out, do you want to be one of the drivers leading the pack? Do you want to be the many drivers single file at the back of the field trying to avoid potential trouble? Do you want to save fuel? Do you want to risk burning a little bit of fuel? All that comes into play in this type of a race.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting here watching these guys run on that 50% fuel capacity. We've already seen it twice in the series, once here in the Cup cars and once at Daytona. Ooh, one of the drivers up at the front having a little bit of a connection issue. That was Navarro in the 2, having just a slight connection issue. They're going off into turn number 3. Seems to have stabilized out now. But again, the fuel mileage game is so important here. And we saw it in the first race. It can get pretty hairy on pit road with that extra fuel mileage as well, as they drag race down to the line. And Sanford led the lap in the 28. And this first group of cars here, about 15 or so strong. Before you find a breakaway here, Alan Dobbs trying to catch on to the tail end of it. Before you see a lot of single file behind him, drivers trying to form up a second group.
Yes, indeed. Right now, that's about 5 drivers making now 4 back to 5 as wow. I believe that was Winker that had to shoot all the way to the outside line as drivers trying to choose which lines they go. The last time we were here, it was about a 15 lap or so run, give or take, on the gas. When we were here back to start off the campaign just about a few weeks ago. Right now, your top 10 is Sanford, now with the race lead at the stripe. Maines, Critchley, Gregory, Martin, Navarro, Wilson, Pellini, Anthony, and Jason Maines are all in that grouping at the moment. Again, the best way to signify the difference between the Maines, the son of Garrett Maines, will be driving his blue, black, and red machine, while that red and white machine you see for ESC that's lined up on the bottom line is Jason Maines, his father. Sanford, though, now in control of the field. Critchley able to push him on forward as Critchley now goes back up to line up with his teammates. And this has been one of the main key talking points, as a bit of a bad push there for Sanford on the back end from Maines. Able to hold on to it, though, entering the tri-oval. That could have been scary there, Greg, with that push. Another bad push nearly shoved him all the way up the track.
Yeah, things are really starting to get dicey up here at the front. Critchley again sliding up the track. Martin looking low, and that is allowing Sanford and Maines to both clear them. Now look at Maines, goes up to the top, hooks up with Critchley. He hasn't spent a whole lot of time with Sanford in this season, but he has raced a lot with Critchley, Navarro, and those guys up here. So Maines trying to get hooked up with who he knows, who he's comfortable with, and he just did that now, getting hooked up with Curtis Critchley. Now he can try to get a run in the inside, but look at Gregory on the inside, sticking with Sanford, and Sanford able to get out front by almost a car length, but back comes Maines on the outside.
The Poland Designs machine electing just to stay in that line, and keep in mind, Sanford and Maines burning a lot more fuel being up at the front. On a full tank, it's usually up to a gallon extra, so about a half a gallon is being burned by these drivers. That's about a couple laps difference potentially for these drivers. The lead pack as well is only about 13 drivers up at the front.
Yeah, we've seen the first group of about 13 breaking away. Then everyone else behind them, they have settled down into a lot of different groups of small single file racing. Actually, looking back, they've all kind of combined into one big one, just kind of spaced out a little bit, but they're all riding it out, just letting the problems come to them. Only 29 cars in this race here today, Justin, and that's kind of small compared to what we've seen with this series all year long. We're used to seeing close to 40 cars in the field. So 29, is that going to help ease insanity a little bit? 29 cars, not as much opportunity for a big one here in the early stages if the drivers can do or keep calm, kind of like what we're seeing with this long second group right now?
I've seen insanity with 7 cars, let alone 17 or 27 or 29 in case of today. So there's still the chance of craziness. I think, Greg, I'm wondering if this is something you agree with here, is drivers just want to stay calm as long as they keep the draft is going to be the key thing. If they lose the draft, then it's a problem.
Yeah, definitely. You just want to try to stay in the draft of the car in front of you. As long as you do that, you're okay. And we've seen that time and time again where a driver loses the draft and all of a sudden he's in trouble and he gets shuffled all the way to the back. If he loses the tail end of the draft, then he's all by himself. And when you're in a draft, you're running almost 3 seconds faster than what you qualify in single car runs. So if you lose the draft, you're giving up at least 3 seconds to the rest of the pack. And that is a long day here on the plate tracks.
Main's still trying to battle a little bit already. A bit of bumping in the corner is causing some checkups here, and you don't want to bump draft in the corner necessarily with these cars. If you want to be aggressive, you may see drivers try it in the closing stages, but you bump somebody while turning, you're likely turning them and causing that massive pileup we just discussed. That, I believe, nearly happened, and now has started some 3 wide as a result.
Yeah, one car stuck on the extreme outside here. That is the number 21 on screen right now, trying to hold on. Jason Maines out there. Actually, there's 2 21s. Maines on the inside, trying to get a number on that other 21
Anthony,
that's stuck on
that's
the outside
Anthony.
there. That's Michael Anthony. He's number 29 on your ticker. We're used to seeing him as number 8, so a number change on Anthony as well. He's hooked up with someone else on the outside now, though, trying to get a run up on the outside. That's Hunter Parsons he's hooked up with on that outside, trying to make that outside lane work. And we haven't really seen that high outside right up near the wall work a whole lot in the early stages of the race, Justin. Usually the end of the race, when all the chips are down, that we start to see that line come in as Maines goes down to pick up Sanford, opens the door for Critchley to try to get a run on the outside with help from Martin.
Now, one thing that we hinted upon during the pre-race was Rep Racing put together not 1, not 2, but 3 potential prize totals for today. For most laps led, the hard charger, and as well, a broadcaster's choice for a lap total. That lap total went to lap 10. Garrett Maines leads that lap. That's a $10 prize going towards his direction as a result for leading that lap. So that adds to what has been a successful campaign for Maines so far. But 3 wide starting to get very aggressive here as we are approaching the pit window. Some of the CGE cars wanting to try and move up. The ball's out racing driver Michael Anthony, though, not able to get that line going. Now they have some help from Andrew Navarro now joining the line. The rest of the CGE cars trying to ditch Sanford along with what appears to be Martin, yes.
Well, remember, Navarro, he's not an official member of CGE, but he races with these guys all the time. So Navarro knows how to draft with these guys, knows exactly their habits. Navarro spent so much time racing with these guys that I'm not at all surprised to see him up there working together with them. And I won't at all be surprised either to see them get hooked up with Garrett Maines as well, because Maines is another one who falls into that category with Navarro. Not on CGE, but spends so much time racing with them and is good friends with everyone in that group that you know he's going to try to hook up with them as opposed to someone he's not too familiar with. There is a CGE driver down on the inside, though. Pete Polini in that black and red number 31, third in line on the inside behind Stephen Gregory in front of Hunter Parsons now, who has gone down to the bottom. So if Polini can find a way around Gregory sometime in the near future, he could get up there and make some noise as well. The 4th car with CGE, he's down on the bottom. All the rest of them are up top.
And you have to think this again, trying to make sure they control the pack when everyone has to come down here in a few laps or so, as Sanford now gets the push out to the race lead. because that's going to be so critical to where if you can find a hole in the bottom line and as well control the pack, it allows you to potentially break away a little bit and be in control for the next set of laps on a green flag run.
So this is going to be very interesting. By the way, we're coming to lap number 14, and they're only on 50% fuel capacity. So, Justin, about what time do you start to think these guys are coming down pit road?
Well, don't forget it was around this lap, around these next couple laps rather, Greg. They had to come in before. And I think the signal of drivers trying to go 3 wide is that signification. They're trying to get some positions before they all have to line back on the bottom. Because here's the thing, Greg. You don't get to the bottom and you have to pit, it's a disaster. For example, happened at least a couple times this season in the NASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series. Drivers trying to pit for the second line.
And that's just something you do not want to have happen. Ooh, Bellini, a little bit of connection issue there as well in the 31. Yeah, you want to be down on the bottom for an entry to pit road as these drivers are going 3 wide now. Michael Anthony to the lead in the number 29, 21, whichever you want to prefer there, as they're 3 wide, 2 deep for the race lead. But yeah, these guys are going to be thinking about pit stops here very quickly. So I think you're starting to see a couple of guys try to make their way down to the bottom. Guys like Curtis Critchley, who was up there leading that top line at one point, has made his way down to the bottom group and might try to fall in line behind Parsons. No, he goes up top to hook back up Navarro. There's the move down that I thought was coming. So I think we're going to start seeing guys come to pit road here very quickly as Critchley making some moves to get down to the bottom. I think we're maybe a lap or 2 out.
It's going to be tight right now. Keep in mind that normally on a full tank, it's about 36 laps or so in these Cup cars. Ains has been wanting to control the bubble with Christian Sanford all race long tonight. Only a couple cars now on the top line, and that's the signification that drivers are trying to find their way to the bottom line to make sure they're ready to go to pit. This could be trouble if Maines doesn't find a hole here, and as well Martin, because they could lose some time here as a result trying to find the next hole.
Garrett Maines, I think he's trying to get hooked up there and say, hey, I need to get to the bottom. We want to pit here soon. So I'm wondering now, what are these guys going to do? You see Maines kind of backing off there. Maine's trying to get down to the bottom, but everyone else is ordered out single file. No takers on pit road yet for this top group, but I think we're getting pretty close. Here we're coming to complete lap 16.
Christian Sanford has just indicated he's coming in this time by Hunter Parsons, also indicating that now as everyone else except for those 2 on the top are right against that yellow line. Now, the one bright side is for Maines, he does have a bit of help possibly with Pellini, who can give him some space. Maines has also indicated he's got to pit this time by since he's led a lot of laps. There's Pellini having to let them in.
And Martin goes down to the bottom in the 98. Maines still stuck on the outside. There it is. Gets in with Martin. So everybody able to get in there except Michael Anthony's now stuck on the outside. So this is going to be interesting coming down the pit road in that 21 car of Anthony if he can't get down to the bottom. And that looks like he's not going to happen. He's going to have to stay out there with Stephen Gregory as much of the field comes down here for this first batch of pit stops.
And Critchley, I believe, might have been sliding around, yes, and getting turned into the pit lane. Critchley gets turned around in the middle of the lane. Several drivers have to dodge. He was 3 wide and actually doored a couple people trying to roll into the pit lane. He has a faster pair available, but this could lose him the lead pack.
And this is going to be very costly for Curtis Critchley. And because remember, we've talked about maybe wanting to save the fast repair until you're not in an aero or till later, but this track is so aero sensitive, you have to have it. Rest of the field already rolling off, and Critchley just pulled into his pit stall. He's going to lose that top draft, and this is going to be a long day for Curtis Critchley if we stay green much longer.
The drivers involved in the incident described for Critchley, Wilson, as well as Hunter Parsons. As a result of that, the second grouping of drivers have also rolled in, but the driver first off the lane was Garrett Maines. Sanford, Martin, Parsons, Navarro, Wilson, Darren Howellman was that grouping in another incident at the very start of the pit lane, yes. And I believe that might have been Anthony and Twinham who collided this time.
So pit road entry, been the most exciting part of the race here thus far, as we've had 2 incidents on pit entry, and that's going to cost more drivers a chance here at keeping with their pack. Here comes Pete Pellini down pit road in the 31. There goes Maines and Sanford. So the rest of the field getting back up to speed. Now there you see the second pack getting out. And there you see the speed differential when you're coming off pit road and when you've been out on track for an entire lap here.
Some of that pit chaos just may have cost a lot of drivers some time. Critchley 20 seconds in the pit lane as a result of his situation. 10 seconds for Allen. And a bit of diciness as drivers coming onto the racetrack. Still though, Main, Sanford, Martin, Parsons, Navarro among the lead pack now. They also have Wilson and Gregory who might be able to reel them in. The drivers who have lost the lead pack as a result of mistakes. Polini had to come down a second time, missed his box. Critchley, Zach Adams, a 49-second stop. Thompson has already had to come in for a second time.
So that was almost scary there with Gregory coming up the track right in front of Ian Martin there. They had to take evasive action. That second group there on the outside of Martin, Parsons, and Navarro. Taking evasive action to avoid it there. Nice job by them to all stay green. So now we have a 5-car break here at the front of the field. The rest of them behind him, starting there with Wilson. He lost touch with Gregory, so Wilson's kind of by himself now. He's got to try to back it up to Gregory to try to get a draft here on these top 5. As you see right there, they're all spread out pretty evenly right now. But this diciness that we're seeing right now is going to help them out. By the way, look who just got hooked up there. 3rd and 4th in line there on the bottom. Well, nope, that's Sanford in the 28. I thought that was Navarro who was trying to get hooked up there with Garrett Maines, as Martin and Parsons have gotten by. Now they've settled down single file. So a 5-car break here at the front. Wilson trying to close it. Oh, Parsons throws a block and it doesn't work.
Hunter Parsons gets turned around. Caution is out for the first time, and tempers were flaring because if you go back to turn 3 entry, guess who came down in front of Maines? Hunter Parsons, right over the very edge of the front bumper. And I think that may have been the give and take going away.
Have to take a look at a swag replay and see what in the world happened. There you see the contact into the wall. And fortunately, only one other car getting collected in it. Right there, Navarro getting a piece of it. See if we can go back just a little bit further there. Perhaps to when they're coming through the tribal. Yeah, here we go. You see Maines get the run. Parsons goes up to try to pick him up, and there's the contact. Now,
yeah, Maines was already committed.
Maines was already committed. He already had the spot up there. Parsons went up there to try to pick him up there at the end, and it did not work out. And unfortunately, like you said, tempers beginning to flare here at Talladega. A quarter of the way into this one.
Thompson, lucky dog on this one, is 2 laps down as we see another look here with the 0 getting turned around, gets hit by Navarro as well. And then it eventually ensues to where several drivers had to dodge as he didn't lock the brakes.
That was a nice job there. Believe that was Alan Dobbs in the 22 that had to take the evasive action there. Under caution here for the first time today. Hunter Parsons, Andrew Navarro got a piece of it. Everyone else able to stay out of it, but I gotta say, I'm a little worried about that number 2 of Navarro about having to take the fast repair. The good news is, Justin, unlimited tires this time around, so drivers don't have to worry about saving tires. They can go all out now.
Absolutely. They still can't go on, of course, on the fuel. They're still a long while on the gas. We'll see if anyone elects to top off here, and it looks like everybody wants to try and make sure their totals add up to the rest of the pack.
And down pit road, top off on fuel, but I won't be surprised if we see a couple of guys try a little something to get some tires and try strategy here to get themselves on a different tire strategy, knowing that there's unlimited tires in this race tonight. And Ian Martin's doing it in the 98. He's taking right sides. And Martin is going to go all out. 4 tires on the number 98. It was the race leader when he came down. He's going to take 4 tires and fuel as well. A bunch of drivers near the middle of the pack. So, all right, different strategies on board now.
Only one driver elected to stay out. It was Scott Hess, who did not come down to pit. He is now 5 laps in one of the Black Designs machines. And this is going to be where he's hoping possibly for the caution flag possibly to equalize out, because if he doesn't get it within 10 laps or so after the restart, Greg, he's a sitting duck.
And he's hoping for a caution precaution type race for the rest of the day. The 88 car there, he is trying to take the wave around, I do believe. That's why he is
Yeah.
up at the front of the pack.
Yeah, this put him one lap down since he's been having a rough race so far, Torrey Thompson. As if you look at some of the logos, Johnny on the spot is some of the logos that are across the Bernard Thompson racing machine, and he's been put on the spot essentially for trying to keep up with the strategy and trying to make sure he wasn't struggling in this 88 machine today so far. Now, he gets around the pace car. I think he's finally realized that he could go around it.
And I think he's going to take advantage of that, wrap himself back around to the tail end of the lead lap, putting the field in the hands of Scott Hess in the 23 Ford Mustang, who been a quiet driver here so far, trying some strategy to get up front there with Maines and Navarro behind him.
By the way, for Tom
Wilson,
was going to say, for Thompson, by the way, he had to come around that pace car because he was the lucky dog there. Normally can be waved around the leaders. I think just took some time to realize that. As there's Hess, and I don't know if he realizes this, but that is a green flag penalty for pitting with the pit lane closed.
And Hess may have just been trying to stay out there to lead a lap, and unfortunately doesn't work out.
Yeah, for those who do not know in iRacing, quickie yellows here at Talladega Superspeedway, essentially, if you do not pit under the first opportunity, the pit lane is closed for any lead lap cars to have service the second time around before they take the one-to-go signal. In other words, Hess has to serve a penalty under green. That is a stop-and-go penalty as a result of that for pitting with the pit lane closed. And at Talladega, that could be costly.
Jack Adams came down pit road there also, and he was also on the lead lap, so I believe we're going to see both of them on pit road for penalties.
Well, here's the thing, though. If you take service the first time, you can come down a second time, Greg, to come down and top off, get some repairs done, take tires at a quickie yellow track. So, for Adams, he's in the clear. Not so much for Hess.
So Hess taking the gamble, and it doesn't pay off, and that's going to cost him dearly having to take this under green because, like you said, Justin, this is Talladega, and he's going to lose the draft. He's going to be all by himself. Torrey Thompson still one lap down in the number 88, so he's going to start tail end of the field and need another caution to get himself back onto the lead lap.
So to reset your top 10, it's Garrett Maines who is in the race lead now with 56 to go this time by. Second spot at the moment is Andrew Navarro, Christian Sanford, Bradley Wilson, Ian Martin, Gregory, Jason Maines, Miller, Darren Howellman, Alan Dobbs, your top 10. Your biggest mover so far in the race is Miller, who's up 19 positions or so at the moment in this race. He started all the way to the back of the field after not qualifying. Remember, one of your top 5 drivers in the championship standings. Alan Dobbs is also in that mix for the conversation for the title. He came into tonight 6th in the standings with 112 points. That was 17 points back of Taylor Peacock, who was in 14th position. Joseph Allen, also in the conversation, is in 28th position. Racing pace car is off. Maines in control of the field once again. Has some help around him. Once more for this restart, back and away.
Sanford getting right up there on the back bumper of Maines, but Maines able to get away. I'm watching the two of Navarro to see if he tries something to get hooked up with Maines. These two work very well together, talking about Maines and Navarro, but he's got Bradley Wilson behind him, the Michigan winner in that 51 car. Been kind of quiet since then, but he knows how to get it done here with that win at Michigan. He's going to try to give Navarro a big push around there on the outside, but 2 cars versus that line on the inside there. I don't think that's going to work out very well here in turn 3.
And you see exactly why there with the push coming in from Sanford. Moves Maines right on forward in the line. Bit of a checkup. See how this all plays out once again as the mean pack is a bit broken up to start, but if you're within about a second or so, you can keep yourself within the draft. Just received word from Rev Racing once again. This is from Ryan Twinham. He's put up an additional $5 now, Greg, for the halfway race leader, because guess what? The pit window expected to open up at halfway.
Ooh. So now, $5 up to the leader of lap number 40. That's 15 laps away. We're working lap 26 right now. So whoever leads lap 40 get an additional $5. So adding another $5 to that $580 total prize money on the line here tonight. So again, $585 on the line, $50 to win the race, and $125 for the championship, plus payouts going all the way down. Comes out to just under $600. This is going to be a very, very entertaining few laps.
Right now, Maines is in control of the pack. He won, remember, that $10 prize we talked about on lap 10. Now, he is losing his best bud. Sanford wants to try and lead some laps, getting some help from Navarro. Navarro with the tandem draft. Nearly got him clear, does, and a switch for the race lead. And that might be a little bit to try and help both of them save fuel, get themselves on the same fuel total, possibly, Gray.
Trying to just do different stuff here and try to work together. That's the thing with Talladega. There is no you got to do it yourself. We've seen single car operations do it here at Talladega in the past, but you've got to be able to work with people here at Talladega. That's the only way you're going to be able to make things happen. You cannot go out there and just say, nope, I'm just going to go out and focus on me and myself only. You got to work together to be successful here at Talladega. Even if you don't want to do it, you may wind up having to do it. But look out, because on the outside, Maines and Navarro are finally hooked up for the first time. And look at the run Maines gets to get around Sanford.
And Maines once again wants to continue to control this race late at the moment. His dad, Jason, has already worked his way to the fourth car in the bottom line of the 21 machine. Right now, 6 drivers are on that top groove. One of them to keep an eye on, Clint Mata, is up in 11th spot on the 82. He is starting to get his car on a move on.
Things beginning to dice up here. Sanford going up to try to pick up Navarro on the outside once again.
Looking like they want to try and continue this back and forth, almost like. Whoever leads one lap gets the push for the next from Navarro. Navarro continues to be the help car. Speaking of cars, there is a lap car coming up at top. It's Thompson, who continues to have a nightmarish day. Remember, at that long patience moment for that lucky dog moment, he is now 3 laps down, coming up 4 laps down now, this time up at the top.
Troy Thompson is going to be happy to get out of Talladega, Alabama when this checkered flag falls. They're going to load that 88 car up and go back to the shop and get ready for the next one, because this has been a bad day for Torrey Thompson here. 4 laps down at Talladega. Not what you want to see. Maines again going up to pick up Navarro here. And some different drivers beginning to make their way up on the outside as Maines and Navarro try it once again. And then they got the CGE driver, Bradley Wilson, behind them there. Jason Maines trying to get his way up into the mix as well. He's third in line on the inside. Remember, he won at Daytona in the trucks in this mini-series. So both Maines with a victory here so far this season. Jason trying to show that he can get to here in this one. Remember, 4 different winners in these 4 races so far.
It was Garrett Maines, remember, who won to start off the campaign. You had Bradley Wilson in the second, Jason Maines in the third, 4th, Christian Sanford. And most of those drivers have made their way up to the front. This moment, Clint Mata's now been squeezed out 3 wide once again. One of the Howlemans also joining them.
Mata not happy as he's trying to make his way up there. He's stuck on that extreme outside that we call it. And he's going to try to fall in line there behind Anthony. Ooh, Brian Chu going down on the apron in the 11. What happened there with the Interstate Batteries Toyota as he got shuffled down way below the yellow line? He's going to lose quite a few spots in this one.
Almost feel like he pulled the ejector cord, said, I don't like what I'm seeing, and just backed out, especially with 3 wide a couple laps into a run.
Ejecto seat, cuz as Chu, he's shown patience in that Interstate Batteries Toyota. He always finds himself up at the front at the end. And now he's just saying, you know what? No sense going up and risking wrecking the car right now. We're not even halfway yet. Maines with a block there on Sanford to get back down to the bottom. It opens the door for Navarro if he can fall back and get help from Wilson.
Still back and forth among those drivers. Curtis Critchley, keep in mind, is also back within this main grouping now. He was one of the drivers who had some trouble early on, remember, in the pit stop sequence, where he bounced off one car, then got turned around by a second car. He's now trying to almost essentially find a peek around Miller, who's leaving a car length and a half gap off the corners.
With that, though, Miller's able to try to gauge where Critchley goes, and right there, able to get back down in front of him. When he's able to get that big of a gap, he can watch and see where Critchley's move is, and he can go with him and pick up the draft once again. So that might get a little frustrating if you're in the driver's seat of that 3 car, knowing, okay, I'm getting these runs, but every time I get up there, I'm so far back, he's able to throw a block. So how long before Critchley decides, you know what, I'm going to try something different to try to get by him and try to fake him out, as he takes a peek to the inside. And I think this is it right here. He's going to try to make his way up the middle and force him to the outside, and that's exactly what he just did.
3 wide now, as often away to the back goes Miller. Gets shuffled right behind Michael Anthony as well. Pete Polini also back within this grouping. Both of those drivers got a lot of luck with the caution flag, I think you'd have to say, because without it, they would be in a bit of trouble, remember, where they would be potentially getting lapped by now if it stayed green.
Yeah, if this thing had stayed green, those 2 drivers would be in trouble. And now here they are up in the top 10. So that shows you just how big cautions are here at Talladega, and being able to get yourself back into position, get up at the front. If this thing had stayed green, you could have written those drivers off, talking about Critchley and Anthony. Now, here they both are in this lead pack. Sanford and Maine still swapping the lead back and forth. Ian Martin in the 98 lurking there. Second line on the inside. Navarro always a threat on the outside. Going with Sanford right now. And boy, Christian Sanford, how about that win at iRacing Super Speedway last week? And just look what it's done to the confidence in that 28 camp. Because now he's running up and he's, I believe, led more laps than anybody else today. It's between him and Garrett Maines. I believe Sanford's been up front for just a few more.
Yeah, and really, Navarro's just been the helper car. Whoever gets clear of him to making a run. Speaking of runs, Critchley is now going for the next moving of groupings. Keep in mind, you talked about tires, and normally it's not a thought process for a lot of drivers here. In most cases, the reason that it's in the conversation, though, is some of these drivers potentially are still on some old tires from the start of the race. And right around this mark, on forward, on a full tank, Greg, you see the grip start to go away. You see cars bobble around in the tri-oval and start sliding on the exit of turn 2 and pushing tight potentially in the entry of turn 3.
And here's a question. We've talked about the tire strategy being different today because of the unlimited tire sets. Here's a question, Justin. Are there some drivers who are not aware of the unlimited tires, and they're so used to having to try to save it because they only have 3 sets of tires on pit road?
Well,
could there be drivers not aware of that?
Well, here's the thing. For those who are not on the sim, how it signifies that is not only on the information tab for drivers to learn that they can see the tires and the tire limit for that race, whether it's unlimited or has a set including the set on the car to start off. But those who are also new also have what is called a black box, which allows you to see the tires with it in a bracket saying how many tire sets are available for each side of the car, Greg. So at one point at least, drivers you'd have to think are going to see there's no bracket there.
Then that light bulb is going to go off and say, oh, hey, I can do something different than what we've done here in the past. By the way, we are also beginning to creep up on green flag pit stops here. We mentioned the fuel window, the pit window was going to open right at halfway. We're about 3 laps away from halfway, and someone's taking home $5 courtesy of Ryan Twinham and Rev Racing. So things are about to get dicey here for the halfway point. $5 on the line, and that's going to open the window for fuel. So you're going to start seeing what we saw near the end of that first run, and we're already beginning to see it. Drivers trying to make moves to get themselves up as high as they can for that run to the pits.
18 drivers are in the main pack at the moment. 19th through 24th have already dropped back about a full second. Rob Green, Hunter Parsons, Joseph Allen have lost the pack. Navarro now wants to lead some laps up at the front. He's now finally getting some momentum with the help of Bradley Wilson. Curtis Critchley also is lined up with him to try and get that total for the halfway, 42 this time. And look at that, somebody's trying to get the third line as well going as well. That's Kevin Winker who's trying to find some help.
Seeing the Hallmans up there as well. They've been trying to do it. Now we're seeing the 00 go up there again with help from Gregory. Gregory goes back down to the bottom, but Winker up there on the outside. So, yeah, the outside, the extreme outside up there, they're trying to get it going. There they go again. But Holloman in that 00 just cannot get a good enough run there on Michael Anthony to really commit to that top line.
They also have Darren trying to stay on the bottom. Kevin wants to be the one who seems to be trying to get that third line and really struggling to keep it straight. They have about one lap to halfway this time, and then the fuel window expected to start to blink its way open for some of these drivers.
Remember, not this lap, but the next lap. $5 on the line to whoever leads said lap. So, down the back or front stretch into the triumphal. Here we go. Halfway next time by. $5 to the leader of this lap. Garrett Maines is up at the front right now, but Sanford taking a peek to the bottom. Remember, yellow line here, not exactly the same as it would be in NASCAR, but these guys are still having to battle it out right now. Down the back stretch, $5 to the lap leader.
And Navarro's got a huge run with the help of Wilson. Will Maines be able to keep it side by side to Navarro, though, off the corner to try and make it a drag race for that $5? No. Down the line goes Navarro. Maines now, though, is clear on the high side. Will he try and poke out? Yes. Navarro looking to win $5. Maines looking to add his total to 15. Drivers expected in pit next time by as Maines up to the point. Garrett Maines leads at halfway, 40 laps to go for the Straight Cash Money mini season, and it's now $15 to Maines' total. Right as drivers have indicated they're planning to come down this time. Jason Maines coming in this time. Navarro also planning to come in.
Drivers beginning their calls out. I believe Garrett Maines coming as well. So here we go. Second batch of green flag pit stops. And what's going through your mind if you're Curtis Critchley or Michael Anthony, the drivers who were caught up there in the problems on pit road earlier on that first cycle? What's going through your head right now as you get ready to go?
Almost feel like the thought process may be, don't do it again, and they're going to pit from the second line. 3 wide for several drivers into the pit lane entry this time. Michael Anthony, one of the first drivers to stay out. No mistakes, though, this time for a majority of the field, despite the 3 wides. Everyone able to keep themselves off one another, it looks like this time.
Critchley getting down onto the pit stall very early in that 3 car as everybody makes their way down to get set for the second green flag pit stop. Martin slides into the pit stall. So now here we go. Strategy game underway. Garrett Maines left side tires only on the 1.
And that's the shortest total to be able to fill it up. So that's going to mean they're going to be a little bit tighter now compared to the last run. But Michael Anthony, Zach Adams, J.R. Miller, Stephen Gregory were the only drivers not to pit that time by in the sequence. Maines, though, again, your current net leader over Navarro, Critchley, Martin. The first 4 off. Polini losing a ton of time off the lane with Bradley Wilson, Jason Maines, and Alan Dobbs, and Clint Mata.
Rest of the field on pit road now. Anthony, Adams, Miller, and Gregory all down pit road here. So the second group making their way in, which is going to allow the rest of the field to get themselves back where they were. You watch the field try to cycle their way through. That's Maines, Navarro, and Critchley lined up there. That's going to be your net race lead as they come by the line here.
So next window of pit stops expected now, around 23 laps to go. The closing pit stops are going to be the most interesting now as a result if it stays green, where it may be a splash and dash scenario for a couple teams. There go the drivers driving right on by the drivers who have finished up their service. The thing is, Polini and company have lost 3 seconds to Maines, Navarro, Critchley, and Martin. Anthony actually keeping up, in fact, coming off the pit lane to those cars.
Nice job there by Anthony, who came out as the leader of that second group to get up there. Much like what we saw out of Stephen Gregory, going to be able to fall in line pretty high up there in the field. Think he's going to fall in 5th or 6th here. Zach Adams as well. The problem is everyone's spread out right now. So if you're Anthony and Adams, you've got to try to back up to the second group of Polini, Wilson, Jason Maines, and Alan Dobson coming. You got to back up to them, pick them up, and then make a charge after these top 4 up there.
They do have the bigger numbers, though. That's the thing. The difference last time by 0.7 of a second from the top 4 compared to the entire rest of the pack. The main pack expected to include 19 drivers. Lynch, Twin M, Darren Howellman lost the pack from their respective sequences. Green, Parsons, Allen, and Mike Lynch have been losing the pack for the good past while or so as Navarro in the 7Cs machine back up to the point.
Side by side with Maines right now. Ian Martin hooked up with Navarro. Critchley hooked up with Maines. About a second and a half back to that second group led by Michael Anthony, and they are closing in big time. It's already down under a second now as Anthony, Adams, and Polini trying to charge back up. Second group back there. So how long, Justin, after they catch him, do you think they're going to start making their moves?
We'll have to see. I think maybe within the lap, they're going to catch him. This might be interesting by the time they get to the front stretch if they elect to line up or if they elect to try and go for some passes. Anthony telling sign, wants to make some moves. Polini does not. Anthony is ditched, and now Anthony's lost all his momentum. Now 3 wide as the rest of the field electing to just file back in.
Notice who Polini picked up there by not going with Anthony. He picked up his teammate, Curtis Critchley. That's why Polini did not want to make a move. He wanted to get hooked up with his teammate right there, Curtis Critchley, and he just did exactly that.
Our driver's been ditched on the top line, and Gregory, he thought he had a friend in Sanford. Sanford instead like to go back inside the line. Keep in mind, your points leader entering today, Taylor Peacock, is still in 14th position, has been quietly staying in that spot all day, trying to stay out of trouble. He is right now in the heart of this grouping that's separated by 1.2 seconds amongst the top 18.
Barrow leading the way. Maines on the outside trying to get a run with help from Critchley and Polini down towards the finish line. This time coming to complete lap 46 of 80. Sanford on the extreme outside now trying to make his run back up to the front, but he's going to lose it. He's got no help here. He's going to have to fall back in line behind Gregory here going into turn number 1, and that's what he's going to do. So Sanford tries the extreme outside, doesn't work out, and he's going to fall in tail end of that group on the outside. J.R. Miller back there, he was thinking about going up there with Sanford, but elected to stay with Jason Maines for now.
Right now, Navarro and Maines have been among the drivers controlling this pack for the past 10 laps. And it almost seems like this is, again, just the thought process of wanting to be one of the cars controlling the momentum of the packs, Greg, because it's much easier if you're in control of the field to maintain and set the tempo for the pack than being one of the drivers who's trying to force it upon others.
Crosses the stripe back out in front. I'm impressed with Ian Martin so far in the 98. First time in this series racing with much of these guys, and here he is up at top 5. Ian Martin having a nice showcase right now. Again, primarily a street stock driver on the iRacing server, races in the Class C street stock series. One of the more dominant drivers in that regard, but here he is having a nice showing in the Cup cars and showing, hey, I can make some noise here given the right equipment.
Based out of the state of North Carolina, known for his short track skills on the surface as well. More than 400 career victories on the iRacing platform, approaching the 500 mark in official racing. That's in regards to Martin, once again, at the moment, who is still second car on the bottom line, 32 laps to go this time. And it looks like Winker continues to just want to go, and it almost seems at the same time, too, that drivers have to keep in mind their temps, where you can get fairly hot in the pack if you push for too long, and it's almost like a couple of these drivers want to peek out to make sure they get some air.
We've been seeing Winker do that for about 20 laps or so off and on, just going up to the top there on the straightaway, or in this case in the corner, just try to get some cool air on the nose of that number 42 so he can make another run. So Winker, he's been keeping an eye on those temps. I'm wondering because he's really the only one that's been doing it. He's been doing it an awful lot. And we're going to have to take a look and see if maybe there's a little bit of damage on the nose of the 42 that could be affecting that, and that might be why. And yes, I'm looking at it right now. There is a bit of damage on the nose of that 42 of Winker, so that might be why we're seeing Winker do it so much compared to the rest of the drivers.
Yes, indeed, and keep in mind that there is a little bit of damage you may have noticed on drivers such as a couple others up towards the front. That could affect a couple of these machines here and there in terms of the damage as one car blows up. Ian Martin blows up. The 98.
Just talked about that. Just talked about having to watch the temps, and there it is, Ian Martin.
And that kaboom does not bring out a caution. No contact from in front or behind. And the 98 has to roll into the pit lane. Might not have enough power to be able to get into the pit stall as a result. That's opened up the floodgates, though. 3 wide for position.
And while that was going on, Winker got all the way up door to door for the race lead with Maines and Navarro on that outside. Winker got a huge run there with help from Stephen Gregory, and he's got another one down the backstretch, identical to that last lap. Last 2 times, Kevin Winker has had a huge run on the outside there. Now he's got some additional help as Sanford goes up there to pick him up. Navarro gets out in front of Maines, but Winker, Gregory, and Sanford trying to make that outside lane work. Here we go. We'll see what it does this time.
Fuel window is slowly but surely approaching for these drivers, so they know that it's time to start to push. Sanford to the middle line once again, and Paulini almost thought about going to the top line, I think, but had to check up.
And he was still thinking about it there, but decided not to, at least yet. I won't be surprised to see him try it here off of turn number 2 if he can get up in front of Winker. And he thought about it, but no, Winker able to get a big enough run there. But notice Winker went high there because he saw Paulini going there. I think Winker was giving him some room and saying, you know, hey, if you want it, go ahead and take it. But Paulini's deciding better of it there that time.
3 wide for the race lead once again, though. Winker now gets side by side with Maines and Navarro. He's still getting help from Stephen Gregory at the moment. Can't get the side draft, though. Maines are willing to do that side draft. Lady trying to side draft Critchley still as Maines leads to the stripe. Approaching about 5 laps until the next pit window. Maines still can't get clear of Navarro.
Navarro in that too, trying to get the nose going there on the bottom. A pair of Toyotas drag racing it out, and lap traffic is ahead there. I believe that may be Ian Martin in the 98 after taking the fast repair, and yes it is. So Ian Martin getting that backup motor in that 98 car very quickly, might add, but he is back out there. And Justin, unbelievably, he did not lose a lap yet. He's still technically on the lead lap. If he can catch a caution, he will have got an engine change and not lost a lap. So Ian Martin in a good position right now, all things considered.
Expecting to reach him for the back straightaway. Drivers negotiating with Martin at the moment for where they're going to reach him. It's going to be critical where they reach him and where, because the main thing is going to be, if he's on the bottom line, it can cause some craziness. It can already cause some craziness with them being 3 wide still and drivers not being able to find a hole here in the bottom line. They might reach him now on the front stretch, it appears.
They might catch him here in the corner if they're not careful. So here we go. Ian Martin keying up, saying, okay, this is where I'm going to go. We'll see
it's
what
apron.
happens. Yeah,
he
he's
says
going
apron.
to the apron.
There it is right there. He's onto the apron. Low enough to stay out of the way here, it looks like, for these drivers, and that might have been a smart move with it being 3 wide.
I think that was the best move he could have done there, was to go down to the apron. I think he was hoping they were going to catch him on the backstretch because he has a lot more room to work with here. Now he's going to fall in line, pick up that draft, and be in the lucky dog position in case things go awry, because the only other driver 1 lap down.
Oh, Critchley! And now they're wrecking in the pack. Several drivers all of a sudden start having problems, and no caution. We stay green. Now there's the caution as what in the world just happened.
That's what the swag replay is for, to figure out what we just saw. Drivers down on the apron.
I believe we had Sanford back off on the gas prior to that, and then some door-to-door contact in the 3 wide between Paulini And the top car coming down into Polini causes absolute pandemonium all of a sudden. Let's take a look at it.
Oh. Anchor involved. Gregory involved. And that's big for Ian Martin because we were just talking about he would be the lucky dog in case of caution. But he went down below the apron. But here's the thing. It was an admin thrown caution. This did not trigger an actual iRacing caution. The race officials had to throw the caution. There's the contact between Winker, Critchley, and Polini. Right there. Boom, boom, bump, bump, bump. Everyone goes around. But this did not trigger a caution. It was an admin caution. So, with that said, I think Ian Martin's safe as far as possibly being involved in the caution or not because it was an admin caution. I think Ian Martin just got himself back on the lead lap.
There's a chance. We'll have to see. The thing is, for Martin, remember, it already is the faster pair. Like, we avoided any contact there. If you do get an incident during the caution flag period, it does take you out of contention for the lucky dog. Kevin Holloman, if that is the situation, would be the driver who would be 1 lap down. Thompson 4 laps down. Hess is out of the race at the moment after his situation. As in they come in, and this is now a one-stopper to get to the end from this point.
All right, this is it. Money stop here for these guys down on pit road.
See who's going to be able to come away with the pit lane first here. Many of these drivers were about a couple laps away from their scheduled pit stop to be able to make it on the fuel. Looking like left side tires for a majority of the drivers. Navarro off and away. Garrett Maines off and away. Maines will be the first one off. Navarro, Jason Maines, and then J.R. Miller and Pete Polini, the top 5. Several drivers having to get damage repairs done at the moment.
So here we go. Going to be shootout time here at Talladega when we go back green. Just over 20 laps remaining in this one.
Take a quick step aside. You're watching LSRTV for coverage of Straight Cash Money. It's the season finale for the mini campaign. Stick around.
ETE Reman is the world's best remanufacturer of transmissions for import and domestic cars and trucks. Based in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, our customers are repair shops, auto parts stores, dealerships, and distributors. And with 6 nationwide warehouses, we're where and when you need us. So when you're looking for a transmission that is like new, only better, instill confidence and install ETE Reman.
Back live at the virtual Talladega Super Speedway where several drivers trying to save some gas on the apron for what is a one-stopper to the end, and it is going to be a tight one. We talked about this prior to the caution flag. It's a similar situation here where drivers may have to pit with 5 to go for a splash and dash scenario. If they elect to stretch it, others may try and go at halfway of this run. We'll have to see as we have 22 green flag laps to go this time. We'll see how this plays out. Justin Prince, Greg Rentz with William DeVoe in the director's seat for tonight's action here for Straight Cash Money. Maines and Navarro, then Maines and Miller, Polini, Lynch, Dobbs and Chu, Lynch and Wilson are your top 10, Greg. Your thoughts as we approach the closing stages?
20 lap shootout or so. I believe it's going to be 22 laps when we go back green here to determine not just a race winner, but a series champion. And one of the fastest drivers of the day is going to be in the back. Talking about Ian Martin, qualified second, going to restart 23rd position after having to take a fast repair under green. Keep your eyes on that 98 car to try to bulldoze his way back to the front. That's who my eyes on here to try to see what he can do. As far as up front, look who's hooked up now on the inside. The Maines family, Garrett and Jason. We've seen this already at the plate track this season with the Maines family getting hooked up. Jason wound up winning that race. So a lot of stuff still to be decided. This is going to be a fun way to finish off the season.
Absolutely, with $590+ in total prize money for tonight's event. Maines already has earned himself $15 in prizes for leading lap 10 and the halfway mark for today's action. He's also in contention at this point, you have to think, for the most laps led, as well as Navarro with how he's led some laps in the past 30 laps or so.
Navarro has been a threat just about every week here in the series as well. Has not yet won a race. He's been close. He's gotten as high as third here in this series. So, question is, can he finally get it done here in the season finale?
Father and son will line up on the inside row. Navarro will line up with your biggest mover on the outside line. J.R. Miller up 23 positions. He's your current hard charger. That is also a $10 reward for today's action to add to the prize totals, courtesy of Rev Racing. Drivers ready to rev up those motors. Green flags back out.
Maines back to the lead in the number one on the restart, but he's got Andrew Navarro, his old buddy, on the outside. He's got his father, Jason, behind him, so Garrett's in pretty good hands right now as far as who's alongside him and who's behind him. He knows exactly what to expect from these guys. Then you find Pete Polini, and how about Nate Lynch and Brian Chu? Once again, they have made their way up to the front at the end. A nice job once again by these guys, and they're going to try that outside line to try to get a run.
Side by side, now 3 wide, several rows deep, as several more drivers off for the good launch, trying to build some momentum. Momentum, though, starts to die off at the very top of the wall. They're trying to get some side draft from that wall. It pulls them back, however, with the drag. And now, that middle line is the quickest line of the groupings. Navarro now goes for the race lead at the stripe.
3 wide for the race lead. Give it to Navarro this time.
And here comes Michael Lynch as well. Big run, as this time on the outside, Nate Lynch nearly gets himself clear of all the lines. Oh! And now there's contact on the top line. Hard crash. Several drivers crashing as the caution flag is out. Middle of the pack involved.
Mike Lynch going for a ride. It's the big one at Talladega.
And you could almost see it coming with what was about to happen there in 1 and 2 with how tight they were getting in. We talked about this earlier. You bump draft in the corner, it's a bad idea. And guess who gave a bit of a bump in the middle of the corner? The 11. Hitting the back end of one of the Lynches to bring out the caution flag and cause one of our biggest crashes of the day.
Was going for the race lead on the outside. You'll see it right there.
Yeah, right there.
The contact between Shu and Nate Lynch.
Out of the park, too.
Home run.
I don't think he's saying that at the moment, but man, it's Chu with a badly timed bump and then some in the middle of the corner. That brings up the caution flag with the turnaround.
Under caution for the 3rd time here tonight. And we just saw a big one break out and take out quite a few drivers here. So a lot of drivers on pit road for some repairs, including our points leader, Taylor Peacock.
Now the interesting mark is we talked about the fuel totals. How about this? It could come down to a fuel mileage race because of that caution flag now.
Fuel mileage race at Talladega. We've seen this a couple of times in the past, but wow, that is going to really make things interesting. I think every single driver is going to top off on fuel here to try to get themselves to a point that they can make it to as far as they can, because how's that?
They might have to come down a second time. It's that tight right now. Within about a lap or two, estimated. As a lot of drivers are coming in, and several more are not able to come into the pit lane because there were some drivers involved in the incident who are yet to pass the rest of the field. As a result, half the field is having to stop before the commitment cone. So Maines is off and away. Peacock, your points leader, has also had a technical issue under this caution flag. So now several drivers are in the midst of chaos.
I won't be surprised to see if they extend this caution a little bit here to try to get these guys back onto the same strategy, because this is going to throw a huge monkey wrench into it. As you see drivers still coming into their pit stall while the race leaders are already off pit road and in turn number 2. I won't be surprised to see if maybe this caution gets extended a lap to make sure everyone gets back around okay.
The rest of the drivers finally been able to come in and pit after their situation. There are still drivers stopped on the racetrack, though. Mike and Nate Lynch stopped on the track, which caused a bit of a delay here and some confusion for those drivers. All black flags have been waved that could be ensued for that, and the reason you can see is going to be something that's questionable, but a bit of a push now from the family members.
Yeah, 9 drivers received black flags under that caution and round of pit stops due to that, so they've all been cleared. Yeah, this is definitely going to throw a big monkey wrench into how this race unfolds. Still Garrett Maines leading the way. That much has not changed, but things definitely took a turn on this latest pit stop cycle. And then you throw the fact that we may see fuel mileage determine the winner of this race. Oh boy.
Kevin Howellman, by the way, was the lucky dog this caution flag, and you can see how desperate it's going to be. What can you do as a driver to really save fuel once the green flag drops here?
Just try to get yourself in a draft and try to stay as centered in the tire marks of the car in front of you as you can, so you can try to just save that much more fuel here, that much more fuel there. Just try to save as much as you can. And when you go, if you're in fuel mileage, but then you get into the point that you got to go up and try to win this race, at what point do you go? Where do you find that happy medium?
Curious of that, especially since Christian Sanford, Joseph Allen, Michael Anthony, Brian Lynch, Ryan Twinham, Zach Adams, Brian Chu have all elected to top off and add a bit of extra fuel to their tanks to make sure they can go. We mentioned the technical issue as well for Taylor Peacock. That could be the championship dagger for him because he's just got him back rolling on the racetrack. He's lost 2 laps.
And that is massive for Taylor Peacock in that championship battle. But remember, Sanford and Maines are only 2 points separated between them. So while that could be the dagger for Taylor Peacock's championship, this is by no means over between Sanford and Maines. Right now, Maines would have it as trying to find Sanford on the pylon, 14th right now for the 28th. So right now, Maines would be the champion unofficially, but we know Sanford's going to do whatever he can to get back up to the front. So this battle is definitely on. J.R. Miller also was still in the mix point-wise as well, but he's also 2 laps down. Looks like his quest for a championship is coming to an end. So right now, at this moment, coming to a restart with 17 laps to go, it looks like it's between Maines and Sanford if Sanford can get up front again.
See how this all plays out for these drivers. To reset your top 10, it's Maines and Navarro, Maines and Polini, Wilson and Gregory, Mata and Critchley, Osborne with a quiet run, and Green, your current top 10 on the pylon. We'll see how it all plays out. Also keep in mind, the reason Sanford and Maines were the drivers mentioned as well. With the tight battle entering today, Miller is currently also 2 laps down after the big one. In turns 1 and 2, for the last caution flag, he's 26, scored in front of Taylor Peacock at the moment. Joseph Allen, who came in today 5th in the championship standings, is 18th and needs a bit of luck, to say the very least, from the front runners. iRacing pace car dropping off this time. Greg.
It's go time, Justin. 17 laps, possible fuel mileage because this is right in the window. If this thing stays green, we're about to see the wildest finish at Talladega we've ever seen on LSRTV, and we've seen a bunch of them.
We'll be able to save enough gas. We'll have to wait and see. 17 laps to go, off and away. And several drivers in the top line caught sleeping and then some. The top line with a horrific start.
top
least
three.
At least 5 drivers didn't even get going for a good 5 car lengths there, Greg.
Yeah, top 3 were able to get going, but from then on back, it was not good there on the start. I'm keeping my eyes on this 42 of Winker now because I believe he has been able to use the fast repair. Yes, he does. He has a brand new 42 race car up there, and we saw him taking that nose up as high as he could to try to keep the temps clean. Now he has a fresh car for one final charge up to the front. Keep my eye on that 42 car as well, the Exalta Chevy.
He's trying to gain some time right now on the top line. 5 drivers on the top line, 6 are on the bottom. The main grouping you can see, but don't forget, there's 3 more you just seen charging up forward. Guess who's one of them? Hunter Parsons, after finally getting himself in the lead pack and getting some repairs done, is coming in quick, and they're shuffling out Winker. Sanford hits the door just about of the 14 of Osborne, holds on to it.
And remember, Sanford, winner last week at iRacing Super Speedway, and he wants this win tonight. Right now, he's just got to try to focus on getting at least 2 spots ahead of Garrett Maines, and he can lock up the championship. But Sanford, trying to get up there and do what he can as Maines leads the way on the bottom. Pippolini, Andrew Navarro hooked up on the outside, but Christian Sanford is doing everything he can to get up there. He knows this championship is now between him and Garrett Maines.
Right now for Sanford, he will need to score overall 2 positions minimum to be able to make sure he scores in front for the championship. The difference between them, 2 points entering today. If Maines holds on to his spot, this is right where Maines would likely score the championship. Critchley, though, wants to force it up the middle and hits the left rear of the car in front. Nearly turns him around as Sanford forces him out. Caution is out.
This is going to throw the fuel mileage game out the window because now our drivers will be able to make it on fuel with a pit stop here.
And I think it might be something with J.R. Miller with a major technical issue or something. When sliding into the into the inside wall, there was also apparently some kerfluffling down the back straightaway, we are hearing. So an interesting scenario that makes everyone good on the fuel, but what happened here?
Take a look.
Well, this is what happened.
I
That
think
is
it blew
Miller.
up.
Miller with the
up.
issue, yes.
That to me looks like engine problem. Engine trouble.
And on top of that, he went sliding hard into the inside wall down the back straightaway by the time they got the caution flag trigger. And that has triggered pit stops under green flag conditions. You see Miller had technical issues as well going through turns 1 and 2 prior to the collisions.
So we're under caution here. J.R. Miller has loaded up and gone home. He becomes just the 2nd driver out of the race here, Justin. Scott Hess, who remember got that black flag for pitting on a closed pit, never returned to the race after that. He's sitting on pit road, but he is not in the car right now. Just sitting on pit road watching the rest of the race unfold.
See if any other drivers elect to come down. And yes, a lot of drivers electing to come up and top off. Gregory does not.
That's
See if
risky.
anyone joins him. Yes, Martin doesn't join him. Winker also doesn't join them and down the lane. Martin, keep in mind, was one of the drivers who topped off.
I'm wondering, Justin, if these drivers who are staying out, I'm wondering if they're thinking that with this caution, that could put them in that window to be good on fuel. Because remember, you don't burn as much fuel under caution. I think these guys might be thinking, you know what? We might be able to make it now on fuel.
Especially with the GWCs. The race off the pit lane, by the way, Navarro wins that race. Maines, Pellini, Jason Maines, Critchley, Sanford, Wilson on those drivers. Take a step aside. Coming up to the closing stages to the Straight Cash Money mini season. Stick around. You're watching Virtual Racing from Talladega Super Speedway.
ETE Reman is the world's best remanufacturer of transmissions for import and domestic cars and trucks. Based in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, our customers are repair shops, auto parts stores, dealerships, and distributors. And with 6 nationwide warehouses, we're where and when you need us. So when you're looking for a transmission that is like new, only better, instill confidence and install ETE Reman.
Welcome back to the virtual Talladega Super Speedway, where Alan Dobbs is now among the drivers, topping off an additional time in case of green-white checkers here for straight cash money. Final race of the mini-season, where the championship fight is currently down to just 2 drivers, Sanford and Maines, to determine who comes home with $125 top prize for the overall mini-season campaign. There's also the race winnings on the line, $50 for the winner, $40 for second, $30 for third, $20 for fourth, and $10 for fifth. The question is going to be, which drivers get those totals? We're going to find out in approximately 11 laps from now. Justin Prince, Greg Rentz, with Will Duvall in the director's seat for tonight's action. It's going to be intriguing now. Keep in mind, 4 drivers stayed on the racetrack here, so they're not in as great as a fuel situation as the others now, Greg, but they are able to still make it potentially if it goes green to the end. Green-white checkers is where the question marks now lie for them.
Yeah, these guys up front, Gregory, Winker, and Martin, they are going to be banking on this race going green for the rest of the way. More black flags had to be cleared under this last caution as well, including Alan Dobbs, J.R. Miller, and Corey Thompson, all having black flags cleared. So here we go. 11 laps to determine a winner, to determine a champion. And right now, Maines sitting in 6th, Sanford sitting in 10th. As of now, that's your championship battle.
That would actually see Maines right, I believe, up at the front for that championship by 2.
I believe so, yes.
Tiebreaker, I believe, also goes to the highest position for respective ranks for today. We'll get that clarification from, once again, from officials later on throughout the broadcast tonight. But 11 laps to decide it. To reset, it is Stephen Gregory in control of the field, Kevin Winker on the outside of the front row. Then Ian Martin and Andrew Navarro, row 2. Brian Chu, Garrett Maines, row 3. Pete Polini, Jason Maines, row 4. Curtis Critchley, Christian Sanford, row 5. Row 6, Bradley Wilson, Hunter Parsons. Row 7, Michael Anthony, Clint Mata. Drivers good to go. A bit of brake checking as they're starting to slam off one there with the checkups. Some major checks about row 6 on back with some bumper-to-bumper contact. Green flag is out.
That could play a role in this because that bumper-bumper contact might give these guys some damage here. Oh, Kevin Winker did not get a good start. Oh, my goodness. He may have spun the tires or something because that outside lane did not go. And he's going to lose 3, possibly 4 positions here as Maines now to the bottom.
Martin getting blocked hard now by Gregory. What a charge as Navarro now to the back bumper of the 61 machine. He now tries to go for the move. While Chu up at the top, and now Gregory gets turned. Gregory gets bounced around. Caution flag is out. Several drivers damaged.
This is going to help those guys out that tried to stay up front, being Martin and company, but I think they may have been caught up in that as well.
And we'll have to see what happened here, and I believe, again, technical issues or something where if they happen at a super speedway, it's a disaster. Guess what? Being the leader and having that happen makes things even worse there in that situation, Greg, and I think that just damaged a lot of people's chances for this race.
I think that's what exactly happened. Brian Chu already had to take the fast repair right there, and Of the three that stayed out there, I think the only one that was able to get through that was Ian Martin, as there you saw the contact between Gregory and Martin. So this is going to, or Winker. So this is going to help Ian Martin. The leader was having connection issues. There you see it right there. Now watch the 98 of Martin. As you see that going on, that's ultimately what led to it right there. Watch Martin there on the outside. Reason I'm saying watch him is because he is the driver that I did not see get a piece of this.
He originally was one of the drivers getting blocked aggressively there. Navarro was trying to give a bump draft, mind you, to him, and then peek out, while Gregory was trying to poke out and block.
Hold on to it, and with connection issues, that's just a disaster waiting to happen, and you saw it right there. Martin able to get through. It's fourth right now. Going to help him out a little bit, but now he's got Navarro, Polini, and Maines in front of him.
Jason Maines, Christian Sanford, Clint Mata, Joseph Allen, Kevin Howleman, Brian Lynch, Alan Dobbs are among the drivers who have to come down this caution flag. It's now Navarro, Polini, Garrett Maines, Martin Critchley, your top five, and Hunter Parsons of note has now joined the DNF list as a result of that caution flag. Bradley Wilson end up longest line penalty, having to get significant damage repair. Lucky Dog, it's going to help out one Taylor Peacock. You see him on the outside line, that gets him on the lead lap.
Big for Peacock to get himself back on the lead lap here, because now he is back in the mix for the championship, but he's got to go. And he's got to charge through this field if he wants to get back up there. But it's Talladega. It can happen. So, Taylor Peacock, he's going to have to go full send from here on.
And hope that he gets around a lot of the damaged cars, because there are some who have already used fast repairs who were involved in that incident that are going to be really hampered here on this start.
Help him out. Update on the other two in the championship battle. Maines in third, Sanford in 12th.
Don't forget Joseph Allen has a shot as well, albeit entering today 11 points behind. If anything was to happen with the other drivers involved, he'd be the next in line to potentially come away with the title in 5th overall in the standings entering today. His best points tally came at the start of the season here, where it was a second place run at Talladega. So a lot of moving chess pieces here, Greg. So how do you try and make sure you plop the right pieces down here for when we get back going?
Well, now it's go time. You got to get yourself to the front as quickly as possible. But with how this has been going, I want to be down on the inside as much as I possibly can. I want to get down on that yellow line to try to ride it out. Don't necessarily go for the win, but you just got to make sure you're ahead of the others in the championship. If you're Garrett Maines, you're in that position right now. You can just go down to the bottom and try to get it or keep it there, keep those guys behind you. But if you're Christian Sanford, you need to get up there. You need to make some moves. Joseph Allen, Taylor Peacock, you got to get up there as quick as you can. So Maines, I think he can afford to go a little bit on defense right now and just try to keep the rest of the guys behind him that are behind him right now and not necessarily go all out for the victory. That said, there is still cash money on the line. Garrett Maines already has $15 here tonight, looking to add up 50 for the race win and 125 for the championship. I would bring in $190 to Garrett Maines if he can pull off all three.
That would be something special, to say the very least. Want to go signal this time by. It's Navarro and Polini control the field. Martin and Garrett Maines, Critchley and Adams, Anthony and Darren Howleman, Nate Lynch and Ed Osborne. Your top 10 end of longest line penalties going to Kevin Winker and Torrey Thompson for this caution flag period this time. Your biggest mover so far is Joseph Allen, by the way, plus 16 in line for the Hard Charger Award. That can all change, though, with Adams and Anthony, along with Osborne, among the drivers double digits, along with Clint Mata and Brian Lynch, who are in contention for that. Greg, who do you feel has the best shot here if it goes green for 7 laps?
If we go green, I like Navarro right now. The race leader, he has a shot to hang on to it. We've seen how strong Navarro is all season. He's been the pusher all day. Now he has a shot to be the control car. And with him being the pusher all day long, now he knows what to do to stay in front. I like that 2 car to try to pull this off.
Curious to see how Maines does with his control. Curious how Pete Bellini now responds to now being on the outside line. This will be one of the first times tonight we've seen him as control of a line.
He's been the pusher most of the day. He had his turn up front, but again, he's been mostly a pusher. How about Bellini up there? He's been quiet in this series all season long, but he always seems to find his way up there at the end. And here he is with a shot at a win as well to seal or to wrap up the season.
7 to go in Straight Cash Money's mini season at the virtual Talladega Super Speedway. Green flag waits up at the stand. We're back underway. And a good launch once again for the first 3 rows. 4th row on back once again, a bit bogged down. And Navarro and Maines hooked up. They already get clear of the outside line. Critchley also trying to get clear.
Remember, Bellini and Critchley are teammates. Maines and Navarro, they just like working together. And if you're Garrett Maines now, what do? You don't want to take any unnecessary risks and try to risk a championship, but you want a race win as well. What do you do, Justin, if you're in the driver's seat of that 1 car, knowing that if you finish right there, you've got the championship, but you want to win as well? What do you do if you're Garrett?
Well, it looks like he's choosing the top line to try and control that pack. He now makes it 3x3 for the top 6 cars. Several different team alliances now mixed in for the back part of the grouping. Front 4 have history of working together. Maines to the point, 6 to go.
Stanford stuck without a dancing partner right now in that number 28, kind of stuck right in that little middle there. Now he's going to be able to get hooked up with Alan Dobbs. Stanford sitting 14th right now, and he's going to bypass Dobbs, try to get a run to the outside. Christian Stanford knows if he wants a shot at this championship, he's got to make the moves on the outside, which is what he's done all day. And here he is making his charge on the outside. He's now 13th, going after Mata for 12th. Christian Stanford has begun his charge to the front for a championship. Going to be 5 laps to go at the line this time.
Ed Osborne also starting his charge to try and get up to the point with the help of Brian Twinham. Sanford hooked onto that run. Mata's now trying to hook onto the run for Sanford. But Sanford now makes it now 4x4 by 3. Now here comes Martin to make it 4 wide. Big checkup. Sanford hits him. That stacks up the top line. They slow back up. And now Osborne without a dance partner.
Stanford, though, trying to side draft off of Halliman. What does he do as he gets up there with Osborne? He'll make it 3 wide up the middle. So Stanford now 4th in line in the middle there. On the high side, lap traffic ahead. Meanwhile, up front, Maines and Navarro still side by side as they catch up to Winker. They all make their way by, but Sanford has closed in. Taylor Peacock trying everything he's got to try to get up there as well. Peacock now up in the top 20. He sits 19th. He's the tail end of this group, trying to get up there and make his moves here. Going to come down, 4 to go.
4 laps to go at Talladega Super Speedway as Sanford has some numbers now building up on the top. Will Osborne be willing to push him forward is the big question. Sanford needs to gain spots to try and win the championship. Maines trying to go for the race win still with Navarro. Still side by side. 3 rows deep of double wide. Now 3 wide for row 3.
And look who's leading that row 3. It's Christian Sanford trying to make the move. No, he's going to get shuffled. He got shuffled out. Osborne gets him to the inside, and now Sanford's going to lose all that ground that he just made up.
Sanford all the way to the back end of the group. That could cost him the championship prize total. Now for Maines, he looks to try and secure that race victory. 3 laps to go. Anything can happen from here.
Navarro on the inside, hooked up with Critchley. Maines on the top, hooked up with Bellini. Ian Martin, remember, he's on that different fuel game than the rest of them. But in that draft and with the 2 cautions, I think he's good to go the rest of the way here pretty comfortably. Jason Maines trying to get that 3rd groove working. And then say no more, Ed Osborne makes his way up there. So now the new characters on the outside. Bradley Wilson up there as well. 2 to go at the line, and they are all out here at Talladega.
Remember, if they take the white flag, race is official. No other flags would come out other than the checkered. From that point on, no cautions to bring things out. But there is still the chance for the next lap or so. 2 to go. Navarro leads this time by. Osborne leads the top. And cars spin out.
Caution.
And we are now triggered for the first green-white checkered of the race as a result. And it's Sanford who's involved.
And that could seal the deal for the championship right there for Sanford, as he had an outside shot if he could have gotten back up there, but with just 2 laps to go, it was a tall task. But now, it could be the end. And right there, it's the contact between him and Halloman.
Right down the straightaway, what a fight that was going to break out if we went to the checker flag from that run. 3 wide was starting to form up a couple rows deep. But yes, looked like Kevin Halloman was trying to hold on to the middle line at the time, and Sanford almost looked like was trying to make it 3 and was just about clear, except the 00 didn't realize that, potentially. Now, with this green-white checkered, it means a 2-lap shootout, the first of 3 green-white checkered attempts available.
So we are already going to be past the scheduled distance now. How it's all going to shake down. First of 3 green-white checkered attempts. Sanford's championship hopes might be dashed.
Navarro, Maines, Critchley, Polini, Anthony was the top 5 at the stripe prior to the caution flag. Now how does this change the approach of this run here? Because, well, the reason you see everything spread out is everybody's trying to find the pace car, first of all. But second, everybody's going to now be packed up here to try and determine this race win.
And not just that, this also throws a wrench into the championship, again, not just for Sanford, because Taylor Peacock is going to be 14th. He was the points leader entering tonight. And here we go, because Peacock is now up to 14th. Maines in second, 12 points to the good right now is Maines, but for every position Peacock gains, that's going to help him out in the championship as well. He came in as the points leader. We thought we could write him off for the championship. Now, here he is, finding himself back in the mix if he can get up there.
2 to go this time on the restart clock. As want to give a quick shout out to one of the competitors, Jeff Snyder usually competes in this series. Had a baby girl born last night, currently still in the hospital. Give him a shout out. We've seen Jeff Snyder have some good runs in the past in this series. Expecting the one to go signal this upcoming time by, and now when you have these long lulls here, what goes through your mind essentially when you know that you've got 2 laps to figure out how you're going to try and win a race at this 2.66 mile track?
And I would not want to be in the driver's seat of any of these cars right now. Can tell you that much, because he got so much to think about here. They've got a race win to determine, a championship to determine, money on the line, so many factors in here, and you just got to try to tune all of that out as best as you can for 2 laps here to try to seal the deal for the race win. But man, there's just so many factors right now. It's going to be a question of who can tune it out the best and just focus purely on 2 laps here at Talladega to try to get a win.
Who do you feel has the best shot here when we get back rolling then?
I like Navarro on the inside. Maines, of course, you know he's going to get up there and contend. Critchley and Polini behind him. I like all 4 of them, honestly. Any one of them could get up there and play a role in how this one ends. Now I'm a little concerned about Ian Martin, though, in the 98. We talked about green-white checker possibly coming in and affecting that fuel mileage game. Yes, he caught a couple cautions between them to help out with the fuel mileage, but now we're going past the scheduled distance. Now I'm worried about that 98 car. He's set to restart in 7th.
Total 19 laps on the gas this time, including the caution laps. Might be good for one GWC. He is right now in a situation where his bed's made, though. He pits. He's not getting up to the front, likely.
No, he's got to go out as far as he possibly can, stretch it as long as he can, and get what he can salvage out of it.
On a go signal this time. Of note, Sanford has requested an end of longest line penalty due to damage repair. Sanford, unfortunate for him, was set to start in 20th on this restart. Navarro, Maine, and Garrett Maines are your front row. Then it's followed by Curtis Critchley and Pete Polini. Then by Michael Anthony, Ed Osborne, Ian Martin, Clint Mata, Jason Maines, and Bradley Wilson. On your top 10, check that. Nate Lynch in 10th, Bradley Wilson 11th, with Darren Holloman in 12th position or so. It's going to be intriguing, especially for the biggest mover too, since there's at least 2 or 3 candidates once again for this restart inside the top half of the field.
We'll see. Here we go. 22 cars on the lead lap. Remember, Sanford taking that end of longest line penalty because of the damage on that number 28 car. Barrow, Maines, Critchley, Polini, Anthony, top 5. Osborne, Martin, Jason Maines, Clint Mata, who's had a quiet night. A lot of struggles this season for the 82 car, but he is up there in 9th. Ryan Twinham for Rev Racing, putting up again 2 separate bonuses for Rev Racing here this afternoon. One for the leader of lap 10 lap bonus, perfect 10 there for Garrett Maines. Maines also picked up the $5 bonus for the halfway mark. So Maines taking home $15 of Ryan Twinham's money for Rev Racing. Trying to lock up a maximum total we figured out of $190 if Maines can win the race in the championship here.
Going to be locked in for sure to try and get that total on top of preparing for the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series campaign with the Clash coming up on Monday. 2 laps to go, first green-white checkered attempt. If they get the caution before they take the white, they will go to a second GWC. 3 total are available. If they are unable to take the white flag under green, then the race will end under yellow. Navarro and Maines on the front row. Green flags out. 2 laps to go from Talladega. And Maines with a good launch on the top line this time. Critchley trying to give a huge shove to the back end of Navarro.
Ian Martin with a gutsy move there to shoot up to the outside line. Was able to do it. Now he's third in line there on the outside. Was able to get up in front, I believe, of Osborne. Was going to get shuffled back here, so Ian Martin, a gutsy move to get to the outside. It works out for him now. He's third in line on the outside. Navarro and Maines drag race down the front stretch. Or back stretch, excuse me.
Side by side still for the race lead. Mata now tries to poke his way to the outside. Can't get there. Jason Maines now trying to build up an additional line with the help of Nate Lynch. Also bring Ryan Twinham with them. If they take the white flag, the race is official. Navarro leads going to the tri-oval. Maines has help from 3, make it now 6 cars in the top. Final lap from Talladega.
TRN 1 to go, and Andrew Navarro leads the way into turn number 1. Look at Jason Maines trying to get that third groove going. He has a win on the plate track this season in the truck, so Jason Maines not done yet. He's got the new ESC livery on board, and here he is on the outside. Drag race 3 wide for the race win. Here down the backstretch for the final time, Justin.
3 wide now for the second row. Can Maines try and poke his way to the edge in front of Navarro? Can Jason Maines get his way to the front? 1 car spins the back of the lead group. More contact as Jason Maines gets squeezed. They wreck behind the leaders. 3 cars to determine the race win. Andrew Navarro tries to run the apron. Critchley loses momentum. He runs back. Maines makes contact. Navarro makes it a 5th race winner in 5 races in straight cash money.
And Taylor Peacock got collected in an instant at the line, comes up just short. That's just going to be enough for Garrett Maines to get the championship. Peacock finishes 15th at the line. Maines second. Unofficially, Garrett Maines is your champion. But Taylor Peacock almost got through that, and that would have made the championship very interesting. But he got collected. Andrew Navarro, your race winner. And unofficially, Garrett Maines is your champion.
What a drive for Andrew Navarro to come away with the win. And again, we'll have to wait for official clarification with Maines scored in second at the stripe. What a race and what a finish. And Navarro wins by about a tenth of a second over Maines. Critchley third. Mata and Osborne the top 5. Twin M, Martin, Mike Lynch, Dobbs, and Joseph Allen the top 10.
Coming home in the 11th spot, Nate Lynch in the number 25. Jason Maines in 12th. Brian Lynch 13th. Rob Green and Taylor Peacock round out the top 15. From 16th on down, Darren Howellman, Brad Wilson, Michigan winner. Kevin Howellman, Pete Pelini, and Brian Chu, your top 20.
21st spot goes to Christian Sanford, last driver in the lead lap. Michael Anthony 1 lap down 22nd. Winker finishes 2 laps down 23rd. While Thompson, Adams, Parsons, Gregory, Miller, and Hess round out the 29 drivers who took part in the season finale for Straight Cash Money. Take a quick break. Post-race coverage coming up in just a few moments as the burnout party is underway on the front stretch.
We're based out of West Monroe, Louisiana. We do custom T-shirts, racing. We'll do any shirt. We'll do schools, churches, fundraisers. We do a ton of event shirts, as you can see on our board here, all around our banner. Personalized. I mean, we'll do anything. It doesn't matter to us. We got the custom rugs. We use all the, top quality shirts, inks and everything. Hoodies, hats. We do embroidered hats, embroidered shirts. Just you can call us for anything. We do offer the bag and fold, to where you can receive them and they're already labeled and tagged and bagged, ready to give out to your customers. So you just call us and just tell us, hey, this is what we're looking at doing, and if we're going to put the car on there, it is 125 quantity minimum. If it's without the car, it's 60 quantity minimum. That's strictly on the racing stuff. If it's a business or something, if you race on Texas shirts, it's a little bit differently. You can call us. It just depends on your quantity and ink colors. Everything is hand drawn. I mean, everything. We don't Photoshop anything onto a shirt or anything like that. Everything that we go through, everything is drawn, and which is the reason for the art fees. Because we do have several graphic artists that draw for us, and they're really good. So what we do is on any package that you do, we can mix and match. We can do any colors. You can do purple, red, blue, green, and do the rest black. It doesn't matter to us. With your design on there, we can do hoodies. We can do hoodies, long sleeve shirts, t-shirts, tank tops. It doesn't matter. I mean, it's almost limitless what you can do, and you can put all that together in that package to make that minimum requirements. They can call us 318-278-7191, or they can email us at bulletprooftees@yahoo.com, or they can go to the website bulletprooftees.com.
ETE Reman is the world's best remanufacturer of transmissions for import and domestic cars and trucks. Based in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, our customers are repair shops, auto parts stores, dealerships, and distributors. And with 6 nationwide warehouses, we're where and when you need us. So when you're looking for a transmission that is like new, only better, instill confidence and install ETE Reman.
Welcome back to the virtual Talladega Superspeedway for post-race coverage of Straight Cash Money, where in the end it's Andrew Navarro who takes home the victory. 5 race winners and 5 events in the mini campaign. He's now getting the chance to celebrate as well. We have received official word that Garrett Maines has won the mini season title and the top prize of $125 for the overall campaign. With that, let's talk to a race winner first of all. Andrew Navarro coming in with the win by about a tenth of a second. Andrew, how does it feel to come away with the checker flag in this one, and what was the thriller after coming so close a couple times this campaign?
It was definitely a crazy race. We always work pretty good with Garrett, Curtis, Pete Pelini, Bradley Wilson, and I think Jason Maines too. So we were working together, and finally to win one was nice. Came close at Michigan. Green-white checker got wrecked there, and then last week it was just. But yeah, I'm very happy to win the race.
Absolutely. You mentioned the work with the strategy and working with your fellow teammates. How difficult is it to try and plan things out knowing you only have 50% fuel, and knowing that one mistake on that could see you involved in some trouble and having to use the fast repair?
Yeah, it was just not using the fast repair was like what you had to do because it got chaotic at the end. There, the mid part it was kind of chilling out, and then at the beginning it was kind of a mess, and then it picks up again. It's Talladega, so
Absolutely. Anyone you want to thank for the victory today?
yeah, I'd like to thank Seven Seas event, Phantom GFX, CGE.
Congratulations on the run today, Andrew. Andrew Navarro, a man of few words, but a man that takes home the checker flag today. The man who takes home the championship, though, in a second place run in today's race is Garrett Maines. Nearly got a max dollar total for what he was eligible to earn today, but he'll stand by with Greg Rentz.
And Garrett, it was one heck of a week for you here at Talladega. You won $15 in bonus lap lead money because you led lap 10 for $10. You led the halfway lap for $5. Second place for $40. And $125 for a championship. Not a bad day at the office here as you finish second on the race. You win the championship. Before we get into the championship, let's talk about the race because you were up at the front all day long. Tell us about racing it out there at the end with Andrew, Pete Bellini, Curtis Critchley, and company up there. Another stellar run for you.
I got a little nervous there when they came off of turn 4 and there was a crash behind us because they were with my help. But in the end, like I got a huge shout out to Andrew and Curtis and Pete, my dad, everybody that was up there helping. I think Bradley was even in Discord today. Just everybody that pitched in to try to help and strategize there. It was a lot of fun running with them, and probably couldn't have done it without them. It was definitely cool. There were some interesting things with strategy today. There was a lot of times where we were like right on the border of not making it on fuel, and you just had to make that decision. Like you give up the track position for the fuel, and I think you saw that with like 10 to go. We decided to pit. We didn't need to in the end, but had it gone green, we would have been screwed if there were green-white checkers. But in the end, it all worked out. Everybody played their cards right, and just huge shout out to them for being able to do that, and it put me in a fantastic position, but definitely couldn't have done it without them.
Gary, let's talk a little bit about that fuel mileage game there at the end, because earlier in the race, right around that restart with 17 or 16 laps to go, we were figuring that was right on the bubble for fuel mileage. And you mentioned that you weren't sure if you would have been able to make it if you stayed green. Had that thing stayed green, what do you think you were going to see as far as the fuel mileage goes? What were you preparing to do to try to save fuel just to ensure that you can make it that extra lap?
We were actually half a lap to the good on that final restart, but the concern is that we were going to get a caution at the very, very end, because when we had the caution like 3 laps in, that's enough to save, give or take 2 laps of fuel. Well, that doesn't really do you any favors if you don't pit and other people do, because then you're in the position where on the green white checkered, if it goes more than 1, you're screwed. And so we were in that bubble where we're like, do we want to lose on strategy here, or do we think 10 laps is enough to make it back up? And so that's why we made that decision, because it was a really, it was one of those awkward strategy calls where you didn't really have a choice. Your hands were tied. If you wanted, to play the safe game, you had to pit on that second caution.
Okay, let's talk about the season as a whole. You got the win here at Talladega to start the season off. From the rest of the season on, you always ran strong, but felt like something was always happening at the end of the race. But you found yourself in position for a run at the championship, and then just with how everything unfolds, you get the championship here tonight. It is confirmed. Tell us about how this mini series unfolded for you, because you found out about the series the day before it kicked off, and you wound up running all 5 races, getting that championship. Tell us about just running the series as a whole throughout the month of January and what you were able to take from it moving into the Coca-Cola series, which is coming up for you soon.
Yeah, I can tell you, this has been a stressful season. There's been some situations where I was probably a little salty because we had, I think it was Daytona. It was me, Pete, and then my dad behind me pushing. Like, that's prime position to be in coming to the white flag, right? And Pete gets turned, which hooks me dead on into the wall. I blow up on contact, and my dad, he actually got lucky, and he was in the wreck, but he still had a fast repair, so he survived it and won the race. we were not so lucky last week at iRacing Super Speedway. I got to the inside, and the guy didn't realize it. We went into the corner. I got forced to the apron, and me and my dad, again, 1-2, got taken out. So it was one of those situations where we felt like we could put it on lock, like in a lot quicker fashion. It just did not work out. It wasn't on our side. But everything worked out perfect today. And just, when you have this kind of race that just works out so flawlessly there at the end, like that's what you love to see. And, I got to thank them for making it happen.
Well, Garrett, winning the championship for straight cash money, a great mini-series for you. Now you turn your attention, of course, to the big leagues, the E-Coke series. But for now, a chance to thank your sponsors and who got you to this championship and that level that you begin tomorrow. One more chance to thank your sponsors.
Yeah, I got to thank Smithfield, 101 CBD, Sim Seats, OfferPad, Linux, Bradley Mechanical, Swag, and ComServe for all their support this year, and looking forward to having them on the car for the Coke series. Can't wait to actually be allowed to run my paint scheme, but I'm going to be very sad to retire the blue and red car with the American flag. I've fell in love with that scheme.
It definitely was a good scheme for you. Several wins here on LSRTV and many others with that scheme. But good luck in the E-Coke series. We wish you the best and hope to see you back here on LSRTV as soon as possible. Garrett Main, second place and champion of Straight Cash Money. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
And Justin Prince, I believe, has made his way down to third place, where for Team CGE, Justin Prince is with Curtis Critchley.
Yes, indeed. And Curtis, first things first, talk us through the final restart of the race, because you were in the mix for the race win, and then calamity ensued around and behind you.
Yeah, exactly. It was kind of wild. The main strategy was just to hold the pedal to the metal and turn left, and definitely was a lot of beating banging on that final lap there. We almost lost it on the backstretch on the final lap, but we ended up, everybody checked up really good, and we were able to get all lined up again, just push again, and then calamity happened again in turn 3 and 4. But luckily, most of us on Team CGA and ESE made it through the carnage, and we were able to bring home a win and a championship.
How beneficial was a partnership such as that for this type of series? I know you've been working together a lot, your organization and ESE, for the past few weeks or so, especially with the series.
It's just we're great friends, and whenever we're around, we'll always help out each other. It's just a gentleman's agreement.
Simple as that, I see. Now, when it comes to planning for races such as this today, how would you describe the insanity here, especially since you had that insane pit situation where you bounced off one car, then got turned around by another in the same sequence?
Yeah, this race was absolutely wild. I'm actually going to go back and watch the broadcast because seemed like it was a show just from the driver's seat, and I imagine up in the booth and in the grandstands, it was even more of a show.
Overall, strong run for the entire campaign. Who would you like to thank for your season in this series?
I would like to thank Beeley Farms, Phantom GFX. Check them out on Facebook for some paint schemes. Critchley Gallant Engineering, Shenandoah Shine, Seven Seas Cruises, Pavement Marking LLC, Orange Shoes Photography, and also LL Esports. These guys just mean so much to me.
Congratulations on the run today, Curtis.
Thank you very much.
Curtis Critchley, to the point, and with a strong run today, finishes in third. Also would like to note that Garrett Maines also secured the most laps led award for today's race, so add an extra 20 to that total. Greg, your final thoughts on this one, and what was an exciting race?
An exciting race and an exciting season, Justin. It was an awesome month of January. Going out every Sunday morning to wake up to some straight cash money racing. It was awesome. We had 5 outstanding races here on LSR TV. And if you're new to the series, you didn't get to watch any of those, make sure you go back in the archives and check them out, because this was an outstanding series. So much fun to watch it happen and watch it unfold. Can't wait to hopefully be able to do this again here with this group of guys in the future, because this was an awesome series. But for us on LSR TV, we got to get ready to head over to Stafford, Connecticut for the Northwest Tour here tonight for the Northwest Super Late Model Series Northwest Tour. They're hitting Stafford tonight, so we got to get ready for that. But for us at Talladega, it's been fun. Thank you guys for tuning in for us here on LSR TV. Justin, I'm going to hand it back to you for everything to close it out. But for me, thank you guys for tuning in all mini-series long.
Absolutely. It was some exciting fun, to say the very least, from the start to the end. Congratulations again to Andrew Navarro on the race win today. Congratulations to Garrett Maines on winning the mini-season championship. With that, it's time to say goodbye. For my co-announcer, Greg Rentz, for our producer, once again, and William Duvall, I'm Justin Prince, saying so long, enjoy the rest of your Sunday. This has been LSRTV, your home for sim racing. Congratulations to Garrett Maines, your mini-season winner for straight cash money.
This broadcast is the copyrighted work of LSRTV and may not be rebroadcast, retranslated, or used in any form without the express written consent of 52 Media LLC and iRacing.com Motorsports Simulations. LSRTV